Breaking news here on CBS Sports HQ out of college hoops, where we have a big shakeup at the top of the AP Top 25 poll. Tennessee is the new #1 team in the country for the first time since February of 2019. They received 58 of the possible 62 first place votes. Kansas, who entered last week #1, suffered losses, as we know, to Creighton and Missouri this past week, dropping down to #10. So Tennessee moves up to the top spot after KU and Auburn were also beaten last week. And joining us now to talk more about the poll and really size up the college game is our senior writer, Matt Norlander. For more on this, Matt, it is so great to see you. Let's start with just your initial reaction to the latest rankings.
Yeah, Tennessee was the expected team to be #1 and bump up here. It's undefeated, and it's actually got a game on Tuesday night at Madison Square Garden. I'll be there playing against a lowly Miami team that's really struggling, but a good sign. And frankly, this is representative of where we're at in men's college hoops right now. The SEC is by far the best conference in the country. It is not close, and having an SEC team at #1 in the AP Top 25 is certainly the proper indicator of that. Not just at #1, but obviously Auburn as well. Even after Auburn went on the road in the past week and lost against Duke, it was able to maintain its high status. It's got a really good resume in just that single loss there. But the Volunteers with Chaz Lanier, a transfer from North Florida, he's been tremendous. And then Zakai Ziegler, one of the better defenders and point guards in the country, they've been outstanding as well. I don't know if Tennessee is going to wind up being the best team in the country over the course of the entire season. In fact, this top 10 is jumbled with a lot of teams that I think have tremendous potential. But right now, as we sit here on Monday, yes, Tennessee is the deserving team to be #1 in the rankings.
I'm glad that you brought up the SEC as a hoops league now. You know, everyone talks about the SEC as a football conference, but #1 and #2 this week, Tennessee and Auburn. How does the SEC stack up as a hoops league?
Listen, it has been outstanding to this point, registering one of the best win percentages in non-conference play through the first 6 weeks that we've ever seen in college basketball. You know, Kentucky's also sitting there at the top 5 team after going 1-1 last week. It lost at Clemson, flew across the country, and then played Gonzaga late Saturday night, roared back from a 16-point halftime deficit, got the win over a Gonzaga team that is still top 10 quality and top 10 good as well. So the SEC is really one team after another after another. If you want a heads up, we're far from March, but I'm just telling you, the SEC, the way that things have broken in non-conference play, it would be a genuine surprise if the SEC does not send at least 10 of its 16 teams to the NCAA tournament, and they could really be in the mix to potentially get 11 or 12 as well there. But it's been really impressive. I saw Auburn in person. That's a real deal, legitimate team. Mark Pope and what he's got rolling at Kentucky, extremely impressive. Mizzou beats Kansas over the weekend, gets a key home win for the Tigers. Missouri might wind up being the 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th best team in the SEC overall, but they were really up to knock Kansas from its perch. Kansas had been the preseason #1 and then lost consecutive road games to unranked teams, so it obviously falls down to 10 this week.
All right, we're going to watch out for that come March. I do want to talk about Kansas. You brought them up. 2 losses last week. They fall to 10 in the latest AP Top 25 poll this week. What is going on with the Jayhawks?
Well, listen, it was 2 road games against 2 teams that I think are going to be in the NCAA tournament. So back-to-back losses is uncommon. In fact, it's very rare. Kansas was only the 5th time we saw a team ranked #1 lose consecutive games in the same week to unranked opponents. We just don't see that often. It hadn't happened in essentially 20 years since Florida did it. But, you know, Creighton, although shorthanded, probably going to make the NCAA tournament. Missouri, probably, I think, going to make the NCAA tournament. So it's not as though these losses were huge disgraces on the resume or anything like that. They just had, it's the way, a function of the schedule and how it broke overall. For Kansas in particular, things are looking rosy. They've got a lot of home games upcoming, and I think that KU is destined over the next month to creep back up in the rankings, maybe get up to 7, 6, 5, or 4 a few weeks from now. But if you're Kansas, you're still looking good, and there's a good signal because you're 10th this week, and that means it's the week 6 of the AP Top 25 poll, and you want to be in the top 12 of those rankings.
You definitely do. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. You know, when I was looking at the rest of this top 10, Marquette stands out as a team that maybe a lot of people don't know about. Tell us more about this squad from Milwaukee.
Well, listen, Marquette's been plenty relevant over the past few years under Shaka Smart. It's gotten a #2 seed in the NCAA tournament the past couple seasons, and now it's got Cam Jones, who is performing like one of the 3 or so best players in the country. He's an outstanding lead guard. He's a threat to go for 30-plus points on a given night. He just did this over the weekend against Wisconsin in that classic out-of-conference rivalry there. With Cam Jones essentially performing as the best guard in the country to this point, Marquette has clearly at this point established itself as the top team in the Big East. UConn's not too far off. The Huskies just had a pair of really big wins. They beat Baylor and they won at Texas, and so UConn jumps from 25, and rightfully so, up to 18 this week. But to this point, Marquette's been the most consistent team in the Big East, and Marquette was not punished this week, similar to Kentucky, despite going 1-1, similar to Auburn, despite going 1-1, because the road losses were reasonable. Auburn lost at Duke, Kentucky lost at Clemson, Marquette got knocked out by a fellow top 5 team in Iowa State.
All right, so I want to go back to your note here, Matt, of Kansas still remaining in that 10th spot. We talked about Marquette at 6. You brought up that there is an interesting note. Why is that so important to remain in the top 12?
Okay, so for the past 20 years, I wrote about this a year ago at CBSSports.com. Something funky goes on with the Week 6 AP Top 25. You see the teams right there in the top 10 overall. We also have Purdue at 11 and Oregon is at 12. In the Week 6 of the AP Top 25 poll, for 20 seasons running, one of the 12 teams in the top 12 has gone on to win the national championship. No one can really explain it. Who knows why this is the case? But regardless, it has been a good indicator. One of my reasons that would explain this is that we get through a majority of non-conference play. Teams that would be inside of this top 12 have tested themselves against legitimate opponents and proven that they've won the majority of those kind of games. And so they have established some sort of credibility there. And just as the way it's broken out here, it's not the top 12 of the Week 5 or the Week 8 or the Week 14 or even the top 12 of the final regular season AP Top 25 poll. It is specifically the Week 6 top 12 of the AP rankings. One of those teams will go on to win the national championship. There is no shortage of outstanding candidates here. I fully expect the prophecy to be fulfilled in April of 2025.
What an interesting note. Matt Norlander joining us here live on CBS Sports HQ as we break down the latest men's AP Top 25 poll. Auburn, you saw, second team in the nation, are the favorite right now to win that national title. Get more from Matt on the Ion College Basketball Podcast. You can scan that QR code on your screen and watch and listen wherever you get your podcasts.